3, 2, 1.
Check it out.
Okay, we are good to go then. And we started last week with the option strategies, or it wasn't last week, right? It was Easter break or something last week. But anyway, that's our main theme right now, and we are reading this huge book. I'm gonna post a link later about option strategies and how you can make these strategies give you pretty nice income if you play them right, of course, and also, as we talked about, option strategies are a great way to minimize losses and maybe maximize profits too, but there are no foolproof strategies. I know for myself, when I read about some of these strategies, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna use these all the time. This I can't lose with this. And then I read some more, and then I'm like, wait a minute, the risk here is pretty bad, or the option contracts are gonna cost me a fortune, or whatever. So, as with everything, make your DD, do what fits your trading style and your risk management and everything. And if there are things in this class that you don't quite grasp, you can always ask. We have a lot of smart people in here, I see. A lot of people that have played these strats more than me. I use a cash account, and some of these strategies requires a margin account. So feel free to ask, and as said, Canadian will jump in because he has a lot more experience on using these strats and being profitable on them, and I'm sure a lot of other people too. So I'm gonna throw him in here when he least expects it. And as I said, make it a part of your risk management, because some of these will not have the infinite possibility of profits, like a regular call option, for example. It can go anywhere, but it usually don't. But we will look at the strats, and then you can see for yourself if any one of these is something for you. But we have cherry-picked the ones that the market specialists, the alerters, and regular members, of course, talk about the most. For example, I think it was this Friday, I think it was Whisperer that spoke to one member about doing one option strat. So let's get started with maybe the most commonly talked about, I think. I'm not sure, I haven't counted the times the word has been used, but it's used a lot when it comes to the earnings, for example. People talk about the straddle. And I'm gonna say this now, I do this every class, but I'm gonna say this now too. We just cover the really basics. There are variations, there may be smarter ways to play them. The examples may not be the absolute most optimized, because they are just examples. So we cover the basics, then we keep discussing it in the chat here on live, and we come back in other classes and may do more advanced stuff. But anyway, back to the basic long straddle. That's an option strategy that is pretty straightforward.
On your
Sorry?
Your PowerPoint?
Yep.
Is it up? We don't most people don't see it.
Oh, let me restart it. It's up, but I stopped it, and let's start it again.
a couple of things I did forget.
Can you see it
Don't.
now? Sorry.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Don't forget to take a look in our announcement section. We did post, I don't know if y'all know, well, most of you should know, the charity that we've chosen to partner with, as Mentality of Money, is with Apes for Change. They do toy drives and help build wells in third world countries and work with people for human trafficking. They do a lot of stuff, and so they're the ones that we have chosen to work with, and we always try to support them if we can. If you scroll up enough, you'll see an attachment there. When we did our toy drive, I mean, we blew it out the water. I'm just gonna say this: we beat all other teams, because they teamed up all over the world in different states and stuff, and we kind of won. We blew it out the fucking water. This server, we did a GoFundMe and got donations. People who have that trophy the big trophy next to their name, they donated, and we got like $1,200, and you'll see pictures of all the toys. And now they're doing Earth Day stuff, and so if it's something you can do, the link is there. It's secure. Your information is secure. If you know me, you trust me. I wouldn't send y'all anywhere crazy. Give a donation if you can. And then also don't forget, Stonk and Low Key. They are part of the Apes for Change. And they do their DD for Dummies every Sunday on Twitter. And it's kind of like here, it is where I taught for the very first time online. So I owe them so much. None of us would be here because, I wouldn't be here if not, for that pivotal point in my life. So y'all just keep that in mind. Sorry, go ahead, Kron.
Yeah, I was thinking if we should start with the watch list, because Standard was thinking about getting out. He may be busy, so I just DM'd him and told him to get in again. Let's see if he replies, because it's good for me to start with that too. I think we wrote that we were gonna start with that, so maybe I rushed
okay.
a bit. That's because I'm nervous. I just go. So you don't.
Right here. Yeah, I'm here. I had to do something.
Okay, perfect. Oh yes. They are going. I completely forgot too. My brain's been everywhere. Canadian and Standard are going to cover with us how to utilize their watch list.
Yeah.
I know many of y'all see it posted, but you're like, what do I do with this information?
Yeah.
It looks like a lot of awesome information, but what the hell do I do with it?
Yeah.
So they're going to tell you what to do with it and how to utilize it. Fuck yeah, I forgot about this part. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm just so nervous, I just go. But sorry, I'm going to leave the word to Standard and Canadian.
So I'm going to wait real quick for more people to end up looking at my screen.
So if y'all want to close Kron's stream, just click close stream and then you'll open Canadian stream.
All right. So whenever we post our watch list with those levels on there, we always have that little disclaimer at the bottom that says that you need to be waiting for high volume breaks. So when we talk about high volume breaks, we're talking about so something that's more than average. In this case, your average volume kind of declines throughout the day. So when you see these large volume nodes or large volume, you want to make sure that you're seeing that when we break those levels. So if we're looking at something like Microsoft in the beginning of the day, right? We saw a high amount of volume come in and push us down. Now this is on the 5-minute time frame. You could be using the 15-minute or the 30-minute, whatever you want. But we saw a large amount of volume come in at the beginning of the day that broke us down below the initial key level. And then what I personally do when I'm using these is I wait for a retest to enter. So we got a retest on significantly lower volume, so I would have entered the closest and at the money put, so in this case it would have probably been 285 or 282.5 put, and I would have entered that after this candle closed right here. My stop loss would be above this key level, probably at the next closest area of resistance I see, or where my last wick was. So in this case, my stop loss would have been above this 285.25ish area. So when you see that rejection again of the key level, that's when you can look to enter a put or a call if it's to the upside, and then you're looking to ride it down to the lower limits. Now, if we're looking at something like square here, right? So we got this initial breakout on the 5 minute. It closed above. There was higher volume than normal, and we got a retest of it. So after this candle closed, you could have entered a call. And then in this case, you probably would have been stopped out. But from then on, you also want to make sure that, hey, I might see some resistance later on around this area. Yes, nay. So enter on retest. So you want to be looking at, hey, I might be seeing some resistance in this area again if we end up going back above this key level. But essentially what you're doing is you're looking for just breaks of these levels with higher than normal volume. And you'll see that occur throughout the day. Sometimes you see continuation. Sometimes you'll see start price getting congested and forming like a new level that maybe we didn't chart out, but you want to take into account those levels as well. So in this case, the level here would have been about 235.40-ish. Sarah, do you want to add anything? Or?
Yeah, so essentially only two things can really happen. You either have a breakout or a rejection, in which you'll be staying on the same side of level. And so things you can look for rejections are like those dojis, like the pin bar tops, or whatever you want to call them, with high selling volume. And when the breakouts do happen, you might see an engulfing candle that I know some of you were just in the other class to watch. Just things to look out for, and it's important to understand that, say if we have a breakout from a key level and it gets sucked back in, there's a pretty high percentage chance that it'll go to the other side of that key level. So keep in mind when you're trading, if there's a false breakout and it kind of just gets sucked back in and it's getting reeled back in really quickly, there's a pretty good chance of it coming down to the other side pretty quickly. So the idea with the watch list is that we essentially just give you the levels to look for the breakouts and the retests upon, and you just have to do the work of looking for the confluence and how to work the levels. It's not necessarily anything else besides practicing secondary trading strategy. The first foundation of understanding where everything is there. You just have to use the indicators and what the chart is telling you in the moment to kind of work from there. The levels are already placed out. We take lots of time to establish the levels, and we understand what we're doing, so you can trust them, hence why they work. But it's more so just a way for you guys to practice using those secondary skills, and in which you can make a lot of money off of just using the levels that are already there. We're choosing charts that are on the verge of breaking out every time, so they're going to be volatile and the levels are going to work more often than not. It's not going to, like, the chance of it being a dead stock and going sideways are slimmer than it being a breakout stock and having momentum. So expect there to be movement, expect there to be reversals when you're taking the plays and looking at our watch list plays, because we're not going to give you some shitty ticker with low volatile conditions set with it. So keep that in mind, that the levels will more than likely be reached and used, and expect there to be volatility, and we pick the best tickers out for you. So just use whatever you're being taught, whether it's in any class in here. Use what you've learned and what you've taken notes on and apply it to the watch list. The chart's already there, the levels are already there. You don't even have to place them down. It's just putting the supporting ideas into place and practicing and seeing if they pay out.
And in the case of something like ever occurring, like Target did this past Friday, where we gap, where it literally gaps above all our levels, or if we gap into a higher upper limit, or a gap down into a lower limit, what you want to be looking at is for the next closest limit or the key level, and see if it backtests that, and that's where you would want to get your entry based off of. So in this case, we gapped way above. If it had continued, you could pretty much just get rid of the chart if you wanted to and not trade off of it, because you don't have, well, we didn't post any levels above this. So if you wanted to, you could look back and figure out your own levels, or you could move to one of the other charts that we have and possibly get a trade off of those. But if you were watching this and you saw that, hey, okay, price is starting to move down, we have an intraday downtrend occurring on Target now, you would start to look at, hey, okay, is upper limit 3 going to get respected? Is it going to bounce off of that? Or which obviously I don't have volume up here right now, but you might have probably seen a larger than normal volume on this red candle right here. So you could possibly see continuation, but you want to see that retest as well. And then you basically want to trade from level to level. These limits are more so guides for you to, hey, this is probably where you'll see some resistance or support, and you might want to consider scaling out if you have more contracts in, or if you're playing with a smaller account, try to ensure you take profit at that first limit, and then if we see continuation from there, you can possibly try to re-enter the trade and have a tight stop loss behind it.
Yeah, the overall idea here is that we're giving you plays that we spent hours to look for, that all you're doing is putting everything you've learned into practice. The plays are there, you don't have to go find them. We're looking at charts that are on the verge of breaking out, we're expecting volatility. You just have to apply your knowledge that you've been taught and or have been learning by your own self. It's just the charts are there and we're putting in the time to find them for you. You have to apply your own knowledge and do your own practice to make them profitable, but there is going to be moves, the levels are there. You just have to practice what you're looking for. We can't like trail you along and explain everything and spoon feed you everything. You're getting the best practice by looking at these charts. That's why we post them. We're not going to post some crappy charts. I'll emphasize that again. I mean, everything is on the verge of breaking out that we post, and you're going to expect movement. It's on you to apply everything you're learning from class and teaching yourself on your own time to make money from them, because the plays are going to work and the levels are going to work. You just have to understand when and how to work with what you're learning.
Also, something you need to keep in mind is the lower time frame you're looking at for these for the breakouts to occur and retest. The more likely you would want to be in those trades for a shorter amount of time. So lower time frame breakouts might not be as accurate in comparison. Like the 5-minute won't be as accurate in comparison to the 15-minute, in comparison to the 30-minute. So that's something you want to consider in how long you stay in the trade as well, and how much continuation you're expecting. Because if we're looking at this square chart right here, we got breakouts in the morning above this first key level. But when we look back to see for that retest we don't necessarily see it on the 30-minute chart, or we don't see it get confirmed on the 15-minute chart either. So that's something you want to keep in mind. I think that is pretty much all we have to cover for that. Hopefully that helped you guys.
And I really like this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I hope that works. I'm gonna head out now. I hope everyone has a good day, and hopefully you learned something and apply something in class.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I really thank you, Standard Canadian. I really like how y'all do it. They really do the majority of the work for you. And they get on at different times. You know, they'll be on at 7 o'clock, midnight. I've seen them on there at 3 a.m. doing this watch list for y'all. But they're market specialists as well. That means they want you to learn. So they're going to do the watch list. They're going to put that love, time, energy, effort into it. They're going to give you great information on it, but it's going to be up to you to ensure you're continuing your learning and take that extra step and put in that extra bit that's needed on how to utilize it. And if you have more questions, ping the market specialist, ping the mods. If we don't know, we'll ping someone else. We're going to get you that answer. I know y'all have seen a mod ping a market specialist, or me ping, Kron, or, et cetera, et cetera. If we don't have the answer, we're going to find someone who does have the answer. And so it's a way of, hey, here's our helping hand, but also, hey, you need to, meet us, part of the way there, and make sure you put in that work. But here are the tools you need. Here are the people you need to know and learn that little extra that you got to put in. Because ultimately, that is the goal for y'all never, ever to have to be dependent upon a paid server forever to give you trades. We want to make you self-sufficient, to earn your own money and never have to depend on paying someone to do it. That is the goal. And so them doing it this way really helps in that. It forces you to, get that extra knowledge and put that extra weight. I'd say they do 75% of it with that watch list. You just got to get that other 25%. But we got the people on a silver platter right here, right there at your grasp to get that knowledge and get those answers on how to utilize it. So please do. It's killing two birds with one stone. You're gonna make some money and you're gonna learn. So I love it. I love it.
Totally agree. And it's like we talked about this earlier in Trading Ground, me and Chris and some others, I think. It's that old proverb: if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
Very true.
Yep. But let's get on. My voice is like a Russian mafia, oh my god. Okay, let me get the stream up again. And now we just have 28 minutes, so this will be a blast. But let's go back. I think, do you see the PowerPoint again, people? Do you see the stream?
Yeah, we can see it.
Thank you. Okay, let's get back, and I'm really sorry for that. So, the basic long straddle. You buy both a put and a call. You have the same underlying asset, of course. You have expiration and you have the strike. So, in this example, I have bought a 21 call and a 21 put. I think it's on GameStop, if I'm not mistaken. And this means that I know that something is going down, but I don't know. Will it go up? Will it go down? And as you see there, I paid 0.52 for the call and way less for the put, 0.22. So if you add that, that's 74. So my maximum loss on this gamble will be 74 bucks. And the max return is infinite. But yeah, let's not hope too much on this play. But this means that I have kinda made sure that, okay, if it goes up or if it goes down, I will hopefully make some cash. So if you compare, the straddle is to the left. That means if GME won't move, I'm in the red zone, I'm gonna lose money. Neither my put or my call will give me any profits. And if we had just bought a regular call option, of course I would have made money if it went up. So there is a big difference, as you can see. And I'm sorry if I rush a bit, but feel free to ask, and Canadian, get ready, because I'm gonna throw you in there, because you are gonna explain this so much better. And how do I calculate my profits? And if you're not quick as hell to sell, and usually these are done during earnings, so a lot will happen in the pre-market or after hours. We have seen the crazy moves sometimes, not always, on earnings. So we must prepare that my put or my call will expire worthless. So I remove that side from my profits. So I will lose what I paid for the call or the put, no matter what. So if you see here, if this call would have gone up 10%, I would have made, if I just bought a call that was at the money when I bought it, and it goes up 10% after earnings, I would have made 192 bucks. But with the straddle, I will make 170 bucks. Because if you remember, that put cost me $22, and that's gonna expire worthless, of course, if it shoots up 10%. So the upside is, of course, that if it had moved down 10%, I would have made money too. If you compare the minus 10% there, you can see the profit. I would have lost my 52 bucks on the regular call, but I would still make 108 on the straddle. But the risk, of course, is if it don't move. And I don't remember, was it the latest CPI report when a lot of people had straddles that went really downhill, or am I wrong?
It was the CPI.
Yeah, because we are used to big moves on the CPIs in this crazy market, but this time it just stayed the same, more or less. So a lot of people lost money on that one. So it's a gamble. I mean, when you look at this the first time, you can think, oh my god, I'm gonna make money both ways. But remember, you buy both a put and a call, so you pay more than if you just bought a call. So in this case, if you were really certain that GameStop was gonna go up, you should have just bought the call. But I mean, earnings, yeah. Earnings are earnings. Do you want to add anything, Canadian? Because I know I'm rushing this.
No, not yet to strat.
Yeah. And then we can do a short straddle, and that's the opposite. So instead of buying a put and a call, we are selling a put and a call. Under the same principles, really. We just do reverse play. So that may require a margin account. I can't do a short straddle with my small account that I'm playing on now, because IBKR is gonna say, hey, you can't sell stuff you don't own. And unlike the long straddle, we will get money if the underlying asset don't experience a lot of movement. So this is the opposite. If we think that, okay, GME is gonna stay around 21, then the short straddle would be smarter. So this is an example. And it's quite weird to see the profit there when you are used to playing just a put or a call. All of the sudden you make $500 if it stays at 0%. But on the other hand, you lose a lot if it moves. So this is, in my opinion, you really need to know what you are doing. But this would have been great on the latest CPI, for example. So I hope you get the difference between the long and the short straddle. And as I said, we have a lot of smart people in here, so I can't read the questions when I'm looking at the PowerPoint, but I'm sure people can answer.
So in general, for short straddles, I don't ever recommend using them, especially like even if you think that price is going to stay in the same spot. That downside risk is too great since you're selling you're selling naked options or a naked call and naked put. So in my opinion, the downside isn't worth it in comparison to other option strategies that there are that you could employ if you're looking for price to remain in a certain area.
Yeah, you really kind of paint yourself in a corner here. As soon as it starts to move, you start to lose money, no matter where it moves. So I agree. I would never play one of these myself. But then we have the strangle, and I know a lot of people confuse the strangle and the straddle. So let's get that sorted out. I know people, and no judgment, but I know people have said, oh, I played a straddle when they really played a strangle and blah blah. But it's similar.
Guilty. Here, I had it wrong.
Yeah, you have done more strangles, I think, than straddles.
Yes, I thought I had it right, but I did not. But I do now.
Yeah, but it's similar, and I mean, we are not too hung up on words. But as you noticed with the straddle, we played pretty safe there in the money. But here we go out of the money. So that usually makes this trade or gamble or whatever you want to call it a bit cheaper, because you take a higher risk. You may do pretty crazy strangles that still are going to work out sometimes. But it needs a bigger move since you go further out of the money. And just as with the straddle, you can do this both long and short, but now I have already explained how you short it, so let's do the long one. And let's take our good friend Brandon as an example. Brandon, he thinks Amazon will do a huge move during the earnings, but he's not sure. Will it go up? Will it go down? I don't know. So he decides to do a strangle, and he's pretty sure this is going to move more than $15 at earnings. So the technicals of that is it's trading at 107.30. So he buys a 92 put and a 122 call. And the total price was $52. And that is also his max loss. He can lose what he puts in, and that's $52 for Amazon is pretty cheap, but that is because it goes further out of the money. So then he starts to calculate how much the price must move for him to be profitable. Maybe he should have done that before playing, but whatever. So he paid $52 in total. So he has to add that to the strike price. So it must move to 122.52 for him to be profitable. So we are talking big moves here. But it turns out he was right. They have their best earnings ever. I don't know what their best earning was. Maybe they have moved more. This is just an example. But it moves 20%. So he will get profitable. And now the stock, after a 20% move, it is at 128.76. So that means he makes $585. He has to withdraw the price of the put, and that was $24. And a lot of time your brokers will calculate this for you, but it's good to have some knowledge what's going on. So I guess we may see some Strangles, because we have a lot of earnings, some Straddles too, of course, in the coming days and weeks. A lot of earnings, but remember, earning plays are kinda degenerate. You can make a lot of money, but don't bet your house on it. Do a lotto. I did a lotto on Meta. I had 2 contracts, I think it was. I made 3K on 2 contracts, which is pretty much half a month's salary for me, so that's really nice on lotto, but I was ready. That was money I could afford to lose, and I have done worthless ER plays too. Really bad. So be careful. And then, last but not least, the Iron Condor. We get a lot of questions about this one, because a lot of people play it during earnings, for example. Canadian, can you just start with what is like? I have a page about that, but why would you play a Condor to begin with, so people understand what it's all about?
So why I play condors is basically to, first of all, to limit my risk in general. Like, it's my risk is capped now instead of if I was just short fully, especially since we're essentially taking 2 different spreads and putting them together, both a bull spread and a bear spread, and we're putting those together. That's essentially what a condor is. So we're expecting price to stay between those two spreads. So when I'm playing a condor, I'm playing it with my spreads out, so that I know that it's gonna. Well, I have a pretty good idea that price is gonna stay in a certain range. I set up my condor so that as long as it stays in that range, I'm collecting some amount of money from it. So yeah, like Danglewood said in the chat, for range-bound markets, they're really good.
Yeah.
And then, in terms of like how to open them, you can leg it into them, which would be, you would be selling, you'd be opening your spreads at the limits that you think they would be at. So if I was expecting SPY to stay between 400. Between 400 and 390, I would open my bear spread at 400, and then if price bounced down to 390, that's where I would open my bear spread or bull spread, and then I would then look for price to stay in between those, so within that 400 to 390 range.
Yeah, because the Condor has some merits and flaws in general. And as you said, it gives some control. You can close one of the wings or legs or whatever you want to call it that isn't going your way. But that means this is pretty complex. I mean, a straddle or a strangle is pretty straightforward, but here you need to be more active. You can't like do an Iron Condor and go to sleep and think that you will wake up and have earned a lot of money. I'm looking at you here, Salim. And one of the merits is that instead of paying when you buy it, you receive a credit. Can you give some insight to that, Canadian? I'm looking at you again.
What's up? Sorry, I was looking at that.
With the credit that instead of paying, you receive a credit. That when you buy it, you don't. Yeah, go.
So essentially, what happens is, depending on how far apart your strikes are for the options that you are buying and selling, a certain amount of money will be put to the side by the broker from your account. So, or basically, you're going to have money set aside by your broker for that credit, and you're credited that money initially, and then your loss is dependent on that strike range.
Yeah. So that's really different from a regular call or put, indeed.
So the whole reason why people play condors and play credit spreads is because when they're doing that, again, they have a general idea of where price won't be. So they can then have data on their side, that time decay on their side, that ends up usually killing positions if they're too far out of the money, or if price goes against you heavily. Data is on your side with your credit spreads and your iron condor, as long as price stays within your area or away from your area in some cases.
Yeah. So if I were to play one of these the first time, I have never done it before. What do you think? What is like the main thing I need to think about so I don't mess up totally?
If you've never played them before, yes, don't hold them to expiry. That's definitely very true. Do not hold them to expiry. Make sure you're taking profit from them at like 20%, 50%, whatever it may be. And then kind of watch to see how it progresses after that. I generally don't hold till expiry at all. If they're 0-day condors, I will close them out at around like 233. If they're longer dated, I'll close them out around 25%, and then the remaining at 50%. And yeah, pretty much like that. So I would look to paper trade them first if you can.
Yeah.
That would honestly try to paper trade them if you can, or if you can't paper trade them, ensure that spend time watching to make sure that price will actually stay within your limits that you're setting.
Yeah.
Like literally do it on pen and paper, or write up notes in your journal, or make notes on a Word document or something.
Yeah, because this is not something you play and then you go on vacation and zoom out. You need to be active. That goes for all trading, of course, but these ones you need to keep an eye out what's going on. So here is an example of Iron Condor on Meta. It's trading at 213.14. We buy a put and a call, and we sell a put and a call. So we get quite a different range, and as you see, we have a limited max return, and we have a limited max loss, and we have the break-even prices. And we also have very little time. So, is there anything you want to add to this picture, or any questions? We usually do like 5-10 minutes overtime, and so we can do that today too.
There's something that I want to add real quick.
Yep.
On a lot of spreads, you do need a margin account.
Yeah.
So here's a couple of things. One, If you have a cash account, do not switch it to margin account just to play spreads, because then you will be stuck with the PDT rules. What I suggest is opening a second account, a margin account. So you have your cash account where you don't have to go by the PDT rules, and you can have your margin to play your spreads. 2, some brokers require a minimum balance to have a margin account to do spreads. TOS requires a minimum balance of 2,000 effers, okay? Because I'm trying not to cuss because of recording. But like Robinhood requires a minimum balance of $100. So keep that in mind. Do not close your cash accounts, because then you'll be screwed by PDT rules. Open a secondary account. Look on what the rules are on minimum balances for that margin account. And another, do not go throw a butt ton of cash in a margin account, because margin accounts can be dangerous. So look into those as well. That is my major suggestions on that. And if your broker does not offer paper trading, find one that does and open paper trading. Do not start playing spreads without paper trading them first.
Yeah.
They are difficult. I couldn't even figure out I still don't know how to input a dang trade on TOS. I've watched YouTube videos, I've called them, and it is ridiculously complicated. So do a paper trade first. Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add to that.
Yep, I totally agree. We don't have the PDT rules here in Europe. So when I started hanging in Discord, I was so confused when you people talked about being flagged and stuff. It's quite funny. We are supposed to be the socialists that come, and you the liberal ones, but I don't know what's up with that.
The US loves money.
Yeah, then they should allow you to trade freely and take all your money, like they do here. Anyway, I see we have a lot of comments. This was the first time I could look in the chat, but I think all the questions have been answered. Yeah, the butterflies are coming up. We wanted to do them and the condors at the same time, but there's so much to talk about and so little time. Assigned. We talked about that a bit on the last class, but Canadian, do you want to say something about that?
Okay, so assignment is essentially going to be someone looking to exercise the option that they bought from you. And that means that you're on the hook for 100 shares of whatever the underlying is. Generally, it's pretty rare to get assigned, and if you're careful with it, it's very unlikely to happen. Especially if your option's approaching to coming in the money, I would generally just sell and be very careful with that. But if you do end up getting assigned with condors, with spreads, since you have bought a contract, generally you can get your that's going to make up for your assignment. So essentially, the 100 shares that you'd be required to send to that person or hand over to that person would be taken care of by the option that you have bought instead of sold.
Yeah, so this is something to be aware of, but it's not happening to people on a daily basis. What did you say, like once every 5 years or something or was it me that read about that?
I think you might have read about that.
Yeah.
I don't have any statistics.
No, it's quite uncommon, but it can happen. And since I have just used one broker for options, I can't say this to 100% that it goes for all, but most brokers, from what I get, you can look at like option strategies. It will pull out for you where you need to be to break even, to be getting profits and stuff like that. And there are a lot of good option calculators online that you can play around with to find out, for example, when an iron condor is going to be profitable. So don't jump in, do your homework. Okay, are we ready for the quiz? I take that as a yes. And remember, if there are things that confused you in class, or if you felt that, oh my god, this is way over my head, we always answer questions, and we have the back to basic classes. We are going to continue with the candlesticks, because we really just scratched the very upper surface today, and then move on to other basic stuff. But let's go. And people are so quick answering these questions nowadays, so I sometimes have to like think before I can say if someone is right or wrong. But that's great. So are we ready? Hang on, I need to shut down the stream first. Okay. Here we go. Who is gonna count the points? Because I'm gonna be on another screen as usual when I talk.
I will.
Thank you. Okay, so I will read the question in my below average English, and then I will post it in the chat. I will try to do it at the same time, but I'm a man, so I can only do one thing at a time. But I will try my best. Okay. How many contracts do you need to buy when doing an iron condor? You people are too damn quick. Can someone count? Canadian? Since you know you're gonna know the answer to all of these questions.
Moonlight Boy got it.
Okay. Let's move on.
So yeah, it's four legs. One, you're buying one call, selling one call, buying one put, selling one put.
Yeah. That's right.
So
Okay.
you only buy 2 contracts. You sell the other 2.
Yes, but
So
I
the-
think
yeah.
I think what Kron was getting at was the number of legs.
Yeah. I blame my bad English. That may be an issue. That was an issue the last time when I did the quiz. I'm gonna transfer the quiz making to my other colleagues next time. But I think this one will be more straightforward. Or maybe not, because this is a matter for debate. But I'm looking for general answers. So when in general, I add, is a short straddle most profitable?
Snay got it as well. I would say Snay got it.
Yeah, sideways. Yeah. That's what I had in my... this is also one that is opened, but still straightforward. I can't even read my own questions. Why do many do a long straddle when an underlying asset has earnings?
Arpoon got that. big move.
Yep.
But earning surprise, volatility, large movement, all that's right as well.
Yeah, we want something to happen in the chart. Okay, and now we're gonna have a picture question. That's a new one, I think. So, what are we seeing here on the pic that is coming in? And I'm looking for the strat, of course. 3, 2, 1, go!
They got that.
Yep. It's a condor, and usually they put... I'm just gonna show you real quick here. They usually put a guy under there, like it's holding up.
Doc, a strangle. Depending on if you're a strangle, if you're long a strangle, then it's gonna have unlimited upside, and if you're short a strangle, it'll have unlimited downside. So, in this case, you see how the risk is capped. The risk is capped. So it'd be a condor.
There is the guy. Anyway, let's move on. Sorry. Question number 5. And now this is someone asking, so we're gonna role play. I know AMC is gonna make a huge move, but don't know in what direction. Which of the strategies should I use?
Dangle was got that.
Yeah, it's...
He answered before the picture went up, but he got that.
Okay. We have only 2 more to go. So, which of the strategies we have talked about do you think have the highest profit potential in general?
No, I would give that to Art. But that is subjective. But yeah, Arapun got that, I would say.
Yeah. But it's like, I try to read up on this a lot, and it's like, it differs between the straddle and the strangle. It's a very, very small difference.
Who would have gotten it?
Arpun.
Okay.
It's like super, super short.
Straddle would be long. I would say long straddles.
Yeah. They are the most profitable. And the condors, I think, are in 3rd place. And that may be because people play them wrong. I don't know. But when they have done like experiments with these...
For profit potential, it would be... For profit potential, I think that's correct because your gain is capped on
Yeah.
condors.
Okay, so the last question. Let's see, so I got it here. Okay.
Just remember, some of them, there's multiple answers, but the first one who's giving one of the correct answers is winning. So pay attention to when Canadian or Kron are saying, oh, but those would be correct as well, okay?
Yep. If something moves your way, I might add to this question. Why would a simple call make you more money than a straddle if it has the same, like expiry, strike, blah blah? Damn, you guys are quick. And that's correct. I mean, you don't have to buy the put, because that's gonna cost 2. So dangle, right?
Yeah, dangle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because remember, with a call, like I showed in the GME GameStop example, if you only bought a call, you would have made more money, but it's riskier because you had no protection if the earnings would have been bad. So do we have a standoff?
When we have a tie, we normally just give it to all of them.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Because many have 11 points. I don't know how that happened. Just kidding.
I'm putting like a 1 next to.
Oh, I see. So that's 2 points. I get it.
Yeah.
Oh. That's smart. Sorry. I'm getting tired. Okay, so that wraps it up for today. And yeah, have some job. I'm amazed how quick you are. It's insane. These contests have gone. Wow. So I can stick around for a few more minutes. I have work tomorrow and it's over 10 p.m. I think it is over there here. So if you have any questions, because we covered a lot in a short time, questions about anything, feel free.
And I'm gonna make another section under additional resources that is just for spreads. But if you look under options education, there's also information there about spreads. But we're gonna put together another one under additional resources about spreads. Give a little bit more, tricks of the trade, tips and stuff in there too. Just give me time to get it together.
Yeah, and I think that next lesson, see, I'm getting tired, sorry. We may start to wrap the option strats up with the butterflies and stuff, because we won't dive too deep into that at this time. We will always get back to the stuff, but we have some other stuff coming up too, so we don't get stuck on option strats. And if you have anything you want to add, if you want to hold a class, if you want to show some tricks, feel free to DM us and we will put it in there, because this Discord will always be what we make it together.
Yes. We love guest teachers. And remember, even if you're new, doesn't mean you can't teach. We're starting to have, back to basics classes, shorter ones before regular classes. So step up and teach. Teaching is literally the best way to learn, because you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna make sure and have this stuff right because other people are dependent upon me, and you really, really, really deep dive. So, if you want to teach, one of our shorter 30-minute back to basic classes, if you want to teach one of these classes, please DM us and let us know. Kron said it perfectly. This chat is what we make it together.
Yeah, so that
Alright.
ends the class, and if you want to stay on live, we want more people to be on the live a lot more, so feel free to stay if you want and talk here or talk in the chat where everyone can see. And we really want more participation in the chat, because at times there are like the same 10 people talking, and we want everyone to be involved. And there are no stupid questions at all. Everything except in the rules, like don't insult people and stuff, everything goes. If you just want to tell a joke, go to the lounge. If you want to ask trading questions or have a chart or want a trade review or anything, just come to the trading ground.
And do not feel embarrassed.
No.
Everyone is learning. If you look, even the market specialists, Chris, Canadian, Standard, Whisper, even them, you see them in there talking to each other and learning from each other.
Yeah.
Everyone is learning.
Yeah.
It may be different levels, but everyone here is learning.
Yeah.
Every single person. So I've seen Whisper tell Standard or Canadian, oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. Or Standard tell Canadian or vice versa, or Chris, they're all learning and we're learning. It's just different levels. So nobody be embarrassed about what level you're on. Please, please, please ask questions in there. Please, they have no, why they're market specialists? Because they have no issues putting themselves out there, asking the questions and learning what the heck they need to know. So I want y'all to do the same, okay?
Yeah, and nobody here wins all the time. That's for sure. And I mean, if you look in the trading ground, even the people that do this for a living can say, oh my god, I lost on this play. And I mean, there are professional traders with a 40% win rate, but they got the risk management down. They cut their losses good, and they let their winners give them the money. So don't be ashamed to ask, okay, I took this trade, it went straight to hell, what did I do wrong? And maybe we can help you with some pointers. Okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna shut up now. And have a great Sunday, people.